So today it's Guitar Secrets time, and as I was going through the comments on the other Guitar Secrets videos the other day, I noticed that quite a few people requested I do something on Daniel Ash. And actually that made me think about my high school days when I really was into Bauhaus and all that stuff. And I thought, well, why not have a go on him? He's a good player and everything. And yeah, but before I start doing something on Daniel Ash, I would like to start with a disclaimer. Actually, this video is going to be exclusively on Daniel's work with Bauhaus. For the simple reason, I do not have the expertise to cover his work with his other two bands, Tones on Tail and Love and Rockets. For the simple reason, I only have this record from his other bands. It's a very good record though, don't get me wrong, I really like it, but I got all the Bauhaus records and everything, and Bauhaus really meant something to me when I was at high school, and I lost a little bit track of Daniel's career afterwards. Why is he a great player? Well, that can be answered very easily. Daniel's approach to the guitar was very, very unique. I mean, we must not forget that Bauhaus came from sort of a punk background. It only was a few years since punk rock had shocked the music scene in Great Britain, and Daniel very deliberately took the stance of an anti-guitar hero. He was not playing into solos and making him stand out from the rest of the band. Actually, his goal was always to give the song what the song needed, and I think that's a very intelligent approach to guitar playing in general. Even more that if we concede that Bauhaus music is very dense in atmosphere, and Daniel really contributed to this atmosphere, to this dark and gothic atmosphere in a very great way. I mean, he really made some textures and sounds on the guitar which underpinned the general tonality of Bauhaus music very well, and I always admired him for this. In addition, Daniel was always open to experimentation on the guitar, something I like as well in guitar players. And he really adopted the EBow a lot, because he said, well, when I discovered the EBow, that opened a whole world for me, because it basically transformed the guitar into a keyboard. And actually, I can identify with that, because I felt the same when I discovered the EBow. And I really like his whole approach to the guitar in general. And I would like to show you some little aspects of it today. So let's dive into the guitar secrets of Daniel Ash. The first aspect of Daniel's guitar playing I would like to bring to your attention is his general attitude to the instrument. Bauhaus started recording in 1979, and the shockwaves of punk were still very present in the music scene. And actually Daniel kind of took something out of punk rock and put it into Bauhaus music, and it was, well, the kind of attitude towards guitar playing. For one, it was the reluctance to play any solos or to do all that rock star guitar player things people before punk would do. And actually the second thing is that the sheer rage in the guitar playing of punk, where he transformed that very well into the gothic context, which was to become Bauhaus. And we can see that by the very first record Bauhaus did, In the Flat Field, where the main riff of the title song goes something like this. This is very simple, and this is very effective, and he hits the string really hard. He does all those downstrokes you do, and the whole thing harmonically gets contextualized by the bass, which plays an E note and him fretting a D power chord, and then going over to the E power chord when the bass frets in C, creating a C major 7 and everything. So it's kind of deconstructed because it's more complicated and complex than punk was, but nevertheless he took the rage and the simplicity associated with punk rock and put it into his guitar playing. A second thing he did was, well, he often, well, he left tonality in a way. He did atonal things with the guitar, like pick scrapes prominently. Not the kind of pick scrape you had like before when you would start a power chord like yeah. No, he used the pick scrapes to create certain sonic effects. Like for example in Stigmata Martyr, where he goes like. And he does that along to the beat of the song. And so the pick scrape in itself, being atonal, becomes part of the song as well, and a meaningful rhythmic part. And often he would like create soundscapes with pick scrapes. I mean, the traditional pick scrape usually is carried out on the E string, and you go like downwards and do rock star things afterwards. But Daniel would not do that. Daniel would actually use pick scrapes to create like kind of noises, kind of soundscapes really. And he would not only do the pick scrapes on the low E, he would also do the pick scrape on the high strings. You see what I'm doing? I'm moving it rather vertically and horizontally at the same time. And he does that a lot on Bela Lugosi's Dead, famous single by Bauhaus. And even so, if you listen to live recordings, I mean, he combines it with like slapback echo and wah-wah pedal and maybe a flanger. Now I've got a lot of things going here, and look what I can do. I mean, these are kind of eerie noises. He could do them better than I can, but you see what I'm getting at. And this is kind of a way to play guitar which leaves convention. And leaving convention was something punk rock was all about. And I think that's the kind of attitude Daniel carried over into the music he made with Bauhaus. Let's talk about note choices and chord voicings for a little bit, as they're quite interesting to look at. I mean, Daniel really loved the small intervals, the small seconds. At the beginning of Hair of the Dog, he goes... And you see he frets a D sharp on the B string and the open E, and creating one of the most dissonant intervals, resolving it into the most consonant one, the unison. In the flat field, during some verse, can't remember if it's the second or third one, he goes like that. And here he goes the other way. He bends the unison into an F, O with E at the same time ringing. Releases it back into unison. That creates dissonance on both occasions. And dissonance helps contribute to the ragged sound, the overall atmosphere of Bauhaus music, the abstractness of it, as I would like to call it. The second thing I would like to show you is his use of open strings, and most notably these two, the E and the B string. He likes to keep them ringing, and I want to show that using two examples. First one is Dark Entries, famous single, early days. Goes like... That is so intelligent. It's so easy and so intelligent because, well, if you look at it, what kind of chords does he create? Well, first one is that one. A9. E major. G6. And then you can interpret it in two ways. First one would be F sharp minor at 11 at 7. Or you can interpret it in the parallel major, like D6 and at 9. that is open, but actually he does that by keeping these two strings ringing, and he does a very simple chromatically descending bass line at the same time. It's such an intelligent riff, yet so easy to play. Second thing where he does that similarly is the most famous single by Bauhaus, Bela Lugosi's Dead, also on early work by the way, where he starts like with these partial bar chords. He frets a D up here but leaves these two strings, the E and the B, ringing. And that also creates some well, very interesting sounds. First one is pretty straightforward. It's like a D, you add the 6, you add the 9. Second one is he goes down a half step, lands on C sharp major, of course. Well, that's just a minor 7, okay, but this one is interesting because it's the minor third. And here he frets the major third because he frets a major sound. So we have that at the same time, creating the sound ambiguous, dissonant, ragged. And then he ends on the song's root, which is a B major, and he plays it like this. That's not as dissonant, although he has this little interval in it, but this can be interpreted as at 11. So he ends on B at 11, but he doesn't resolve it to, well, be proper. Why not? Well, he keeps it unresolved. And does that make you feel a little bit irritated, uncomfortable, nervous? I mean, the song is about vampires in a crypt. The last thing I want to show you is a very interesting one, the trick with the slapback delay. Daniel used the slapback delay, used an Echoplex unit in front of his amp. Why did he do that? Well, you've heard it on the eerie atmosphere soundscape things I talked about a few minutes ago, but he also uses it rhythmically. He sets the slapback to roughly a 16th of the beat, and then he plays a stream of 8th notes, and the slapback echo fills the gaps in between. So you got a steady stream of 16ths by his playing and the slapback, and that makes a very, very special sound. For example, in Terra Couple Kill Colonel, here is basically the echo. And you see how the slapback echo fills the gaps, and that sounds very different if you just pick it. He also does that in the flat field. It's well, higher tempo. And he mutes the string very hard there. And you see at that high tempo, it would sound very differently if I went alternate picking and picked every 16th. It's still doable, but it sounds different than just the downstrokes and having it repeated by the tape echo. And that's very Daniel Ashy. Just set your delay to 16th notes and then do something like this. You get incredible effects that way. As usual, a few words on Daniel's equipment and tone close the video. Like many guitar players of that era, Daniel used what he had. He didn't have the money or resources to have these really big and complicated guitar amplifier systems the arena rock players would have. Like many post-punk and gothic players, he used amplification by a company called HH, and these were solid state amps. In loads of live videos from late 70s, early 80s, I saw him play an HH100C, a combo with two 12-inch speakers by Celestion in it, and it's a solid state amp, and he takes the distortion from the solid state amp by simply turning it up like you would do with a tube amp from that era, and the resulting distortion is very thick, very compressed, very well punchy. I really love it, really. It's a solid state amp. I can't really believe it. And that is one aspect of his tone. The second one is, well, it's a one-channel amp, so he used the volume pod to dial distortion either in or out. And he played a 1972 Fender Telecaster. Nothing too special with a Telecaster in a post-punk gothic rock context, but he had one of these treble bleed installed, and when he rolled back the volume pod, he made the signal very trebly, even more so as the amp was solid state. So you got this thin trebly sound you hear on the beginning of God of an Alcove. I can't really demonstrate it because I don't have a treble bleed in this guitar. But you see, this was very crucial to his sound, and it was, well, almost by chance, because Fender only installed those for a very limited run in these instruments. Another thing I think is important for him is the Ecoplex. He had the Ecoplex in front of the amp, so the delay would hit the distortion, not the other way around like you normally do it. And he set it to slapback time. He used it as a rhythmic device as well. He did loads of things with that Ecoplex. That was it. My thoughts on Daniel Ash, at least Daniel Ash with Bauhaus. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you've liked it, you might drop me a like, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very grateful if you did so. And in the meantime, have fun playing guitar.